Hey.
Hey.
It's almost Halloween.
I know.
I'm already planning our Halloween episode.
I'm already wearing like Halloween attire.
I'm so excited.
I've got my whole office decorated in Halloween. I have a Halloween tree this year.
What? Oh my gosh. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. Hey everybody. Welcome to another awesome week of Case Files with Kat.
And to Ashley.
And there the motorcycle guy.
It's like he just waits. We've been sitting here and he just waits.
God damn that guy. They probably can't hear it, but I don't know. Anyway, how's your week been? It's not like I feel like I've seen you a lot this last week.
Well, the 3-day break was good. I actually took 3 days off. So
Stop it.
I know. I did like a few things from work.
Did the world stop spinning because you took a break?
I don't know. We'll see tomorrow.
It didn't. No,
I work from home today. But yeah, I did
stuff.
stuff. I did fun stuff. So
love it. Love it.
How was your
well, the kids had auditions for Elf this weekend. So, we were here. That's Jason's like, fun. What? On a holiday weekend? Like, we could have been going out of town. I'm like, honey, we don't ever go out of town. Yeah, and neither do any of these other people.
Yeah, but that's still kind of weird they would do it on a holiday weekend.
Yeah, we don't, none of us do anything. None of us. No other parents were like, damn it. We're wanting to go out of town. Nobody complained. Labor Day, I guess. It's just the idea that it's a 3-day weekend. We had to leave the house one time to go take them to auditions. That's what we did. No, but we also did about 18,000 loads of laundry. So, gave us time to do that.
Yeah.
Worked. Hey, we have beers.
Yes.
From our super fan Anna and Ray. Hey. Okay, so I had to look it up online. How to pronounce it because it's like,
and we're still not sure.
It's so I'm drinking the Freem.
I'm glad it's your beer, not mine.
I know it is the Freem Hazy IPA, and I have to read the little description, but I don't have my glasses, so here we go. See through the haze where the lush aromas of sweet papaya and mango dance with juicy notes of white grape and citrus. I know. It's great for like a summer day, but I'm freezing right now.
Are you really?
I don't know. I've been having weird cold flashes instead of hot flashes. Welcome to my
I was having cold
late
flashes.
40s, everybody. But yeah, cold flashes. They're crazy. Okay, so I haven't taken a sip of it. So while you're talking about yours, I'm going to try mine.
Okay. Well, I am drinking Two Towns Cider House Outsider. It says no added sugar, only fresh pressed Northwest apples, always whole ingredients. It's an unfiltered hard cider. It's made with Jonah Gold apples. It's literally
never heard of this.
Just Northwest apple juice, and like that's all in here.
Wow.
And it tastes like it's so good. It tastes like a not really boozy at all. It's like tastes like apple juice to me. It's really good.
Wow.
I'm loving it. It's a big can too. It's a 19.2.
I feel like ciders are. Is it dry or is it like? I mean, it just tastes like juice. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I've never even heard of those kinds of apples. That's what's crazy.
I drink a lot of ciders, and this is a very, very good one.
Ooh.
Yeah. I like the can too. The can art's pretty cool.
This right here is a dangerous one because the Freem, because it's so mellow and that mango and papaya, like it's like a session IPA. I don't even know what the ABV is, but this is something that's like, it is very fresh. Like that, it just tastes like something just delicious by the poolside kind of a thing.
This also says naturally gluten-free. So the little blurb says, boldly crafted in Oregon, friends from 2 nearby towns banded together on a mission to bring cider back to the people. True craft cider made using whole fruit and no shortcuts.
Oh.
I highly recommend this. If you guys can find this somewhere and you like ciders, this is a very good one. Sometimes they're too tart or, like you said, dry.
Yeah, like
this is really
maybe
good.
It's tart. Maybe that's because I don't mind dry.
Two Town Cider House in Oregon.
Oh, awesome.
Corvallis, Oregon. I don't know if I said that.
Sure. Why not?
But it's really good, guys. I know I've said that like 10 times now, but
so super good. And thank you to Anna and Ray for picking these out for us. Seriously, they've been delicious. We have one more week of beers. So
yes, if someone else would like to send us beers, by all means, I'll give my address out for beer.
I know. Come stalk us.
But bring beer.
But no, you can stalk us if you get beer. You have to bring the beer. Oh God. So we're joined by another cat tonight. Here's little Socks.
Oh,
Mr. Socks just hanging out.
He's so much more chilled than Louie though about it.
I don't know. We'll see. He's been playing with the cords, so I just have a feeling he'll.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough.
He's teething. Okay, so I guess I'll just get into it.
Okay.
Just gonna.
I'm here. I'm just here to drink.
So this story is gonna be another short one.
Mm-hmm.
But you know when I say that, it's like 4 hours later. I thought it was only gonna be 20 minutes, and then this is where we are. Anyway, so when I was researching potential stories, I was telling you this before. I want stories that I really wanted to do. I was right. There were the stories that I'd already said, I want to make sure I do this one and this one and this one. Those keep getting pushed down because other craziness comes up. Yeah. So this was on the list of it overtook something I'd previously said I wanted to research because I was like, oh, this is crazy. So I started by, I couldn't remember exactly why, but this was on this list of ideas. Okay. And I just remember being oh, the disappearance, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm doing a disappearance. We're a little backwards, topsy-turvy world we're living in. And so I just was I'm doing a disappearance. That's what I told you. And then I went to go listen to some podcasts about it. And I was like, oh, that's why I wanted to put this. So, while I was working and I'm like, oh, let me just listen to the first podcast. And the minute someone said Bigfoot being the culprit,
I'm sorry,
as the potential culprit, I was like, hold up, I cannot be working. I need to give this my 100% attention.
As in Bigfoot was the one that did the kidnapping?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now that's when I understood why this ended up on my list. So I was oh, this just went right up to the top. So tonight is going to be a shorter story, but I'm going to tell you about the mysterious disappearance of Theresa Ann Bier, Bier. I'm just going to say it's Bier, in 1987, and what Bigfoot has to do with any of this.
Okay. I'm here.
Already excited, right? I feel like there's a child right behind me.
She's putting her shoes on.
Okay. So let's just start at the beginning of Theresa's life. Honestly, this is one of the saddest parts of the story is that, usually you've done enough disappearances that a lot about the person. You say this is what she was really into or what they were really into, what, friends' names, just the pictures of them when they were younger or different ages. She was a teenager, and there's one picture.
Oh, wow.
One picture. And so that's really the sad part about this story. She was, there's not much that's factually known about her, about Theresa, what she liked, what she dreamed of, what subjects that she actually enjoyed in school, and whatnot. So no, what is known about her is mainly what the authorities know from each time they entered her life.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There were just moments. And so we knew where she was at this age, but we don't really know much else. Okay. So that sort of thing. We don't even know the names of her siblings.
Oh, that's really weird.
We know one, but not, there's others, but we don't know. She might have been a twin, but it's not 100% certain. It's just really strange. Yeah. So I will say right off the bat, there were plenty of websites that mention the story, but they all seem to use the same references, the same resources to get to that story. There's really not a whole lot of deviation from podcast to podcast or story to,
Yeah.
article to article. So really like the Fresno Bee did write an article or two about this disappearance because it did happen in Fresno.
Okay.
And there is the missing persons flyer, and there's some sort of like other stories that kind of happen later on, once after it. So it's there's just not a lot. There was just a ton. I put everything in the show notes though. Everything I did find, big or small, I put it in there. So, you can take a look. Okay. So, Theresa was born to Shirley and David Bier, on April 16th, 1971. David was a veteran of the Vietnam War, and Shirley was a stay-home mom. She was not mentally stable or well. Theresa definitely had siblings. We don't know any of them other than we know that she had a sister. We don't know if she's younger, older, a twin, but her name was Vicky. That's the extent of her family. Yeah, they do mention siblings in some articles, but it doesn't go into great detail. But kids walking by screaming. But we know that when Theresa was about 3 years old, Theresa was severely beaten by her unwell mother. She was in her crib. Theresa was in her crib, and Theresa's mom took her leg through the crib slats and twisted her leg until it broke.
Oh my God.
Then I don't know if it was at that same incident or a different incident, but she was also beaten until some of her ribs were broken.
Oh my God.
All at about this age. Yeah, terrible stuff. The scar on her leg was pretty gnarly. The fixing of her leg, it left a pretty big scar, so it was still there until the day she disappeared. You could still see it. It's like visible. It's pretty gnarly from what people said. If it's unclear, like I said, if the leg and the ribs happened on the same simultaneously, but it's bullshit either way. I mean, obviously this poor child. Thankfully, social services did get involved. I don't know if it's at that point, but they did get involved, and Theresa was taken away from her parents, she and her sister Vicky, actually, and they were placed with a family from church. In one podcast, they said this might have been the only happy time or stable time in Theresa's life. It only lasted for a few years. At this point, we know the other kids were placed elsewhere. We don't know where, and they don't really ever come back into the picture. Now, we don't know if it was because of what Shirley did to Theresa at that point, but Shirley and David split up. And after a few years of Theresa and Vicky living with this nice family from church, David had remarried and he wanted to get the kids back. So he fought for custody. I don't know if it was necessarily a fight, but he said, "Hey, I'm not with Shirley anymore. I'm married again. I'd like to have my kids back." And so, unfortunately, the good times were put to an end at that point, and Theresa was given back to her dad. So, although David, yes, left Shirley, he did get married to someone not awesome. So she was a different kind of cruel. He married somebody. So Theresa and Vicky returned with their dad and his new wife, Margie Richmond, and they were both janitors. They were both employed as janitors in Southern California. So, okay, I'm going to need some red yarn here. So Margie Richmond was actually known by the kids. She was their aunt by marriage. She was Shirley's former sister-in-law. She was married to Shirley's brother and had kids with him. And so the kids, her cousin siblings moved in, and her aunt mom was married to her dad.
Okay.
So confused. I mean, it's just gross.
That have to be weird for the kids.
Oh, I'm sure. 100%. And then Margie's kids were Uncle Dad to David, right? But a new wife didn't mean a better wife, unfortunately. And this is case files, and we know how these stories go. Am I right? She may not have been the break your legs through the crib slats bad, but she treated the girls differently than her own, which is its own kind of evil, honestly. Allegedly, Margie would lock her refrigerator after making herself food and eat in front of the children while they just looked at her.
Like even her own children?
No, I think it would be
just in front of the girls.
Just in front of the girls. Just to not feed them anything and let them be hungry. Eventually, Theresa returned to Fresno don't really know at what age. She returned to Fresno to live with her great-grandmother after things with Dad and Margie got bad. This move wasn't the end of playing musical houses for poor Theresa. Unfortunately, another family member who lived in Fresno wanted to get a chance at having Theresa under their roof. Her uncle, John Richmond, and he was at this point better known to police and his friends as Blind Johnny.
This was their original mother's brother?
This was their Shirley's brother.
Okay.
Blind Johnny.
All right.
Okay. So John Richmond. So Blind Johnny. Nothing ever went sideways when someone named Blind Johnny was in the mix.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Come on. Anyway, Blind Johnny had 2 young sons when he took in Theresa. He had a new wife or girlfriend, possibly wife, who lived with him, who was reportedly a 17-year-old sex worker or sex trafficking victim, rather. But anyway, she was living there as his partner. And it was unclear if the 2 boys were hers or someone else's from a previous thing. I don't know.
Such a messy story already.
It is really messy. These people are not good in any way, shape, or form. But Theresa was often asked to babysit these younger boys while the girlfriend was working. And this would sometimes cause her to miss school. Blind Johnny also began molesting and raping Theresa and would let his friends do the same. So things were just great. I know. Bigfoot's coming. So around this time, Theresa was obviously, I mean, you're shutting down. Your entire life has just been traumatic. It's trauma after trauma after trauma. And she was withdrawn. She was isolating herself at home. She would just kind of stay in her room. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Of course you're going to be like that. Of course you're going to stay in your room. I'm going to hang out with you guys. But in the late spring of 1987, Theresa had nearly completed her freshman year at Central High in Northwest Fresno. So she was 16 as a freshman. So she was a year older than everybody else. And that's partly probably from the moving. Teachers saw Theresa as being slow and immature. And so they placed her in special education. And let me just pause here to rant for just a hot second. This is another one of those stories where every fucking adult in this poor girl's life failed her.
Yeah.
Fucking failed her. Every single adult. Every single authority figure failed her. Teachers, you think she's slow and immature? Well, did you ever fucking ask her a question? I'm sure she wasn't dressed well. I'm sure she didn't look good. Nobody even made mention. They know her history. They know she's traveled all around. They can tell. They can see all of that. And there's just, all right. Social services, you okayed Blind Johnny to take custody?
Yeah, that was bizarre that that happened.
What? How is this, you know,
Yeah.
if you're known to the police, you should not have custody of a child.
Yeah.
And you have a 17-year-old sex worker
Yeah.
living with you with these 2 kids, and I just all of it. Anyway, damn.
Especially being related to the mother that abused her so badly.
Oh, God, that's another good point. God, yes, exactly. Okay. Anyway, that's my rant. Ugh. All right. So on June 1st, 1987, a 43-year-old man named Russell Skip Welch showed up as Theresa was getting ready for school, and he had only known Blind Johnny for about a week. This is what Blind Johnny has said. But here was Skip showing up to the house at the time of day that kids are getting ready for high school. Not really sure why the red flags weren't going up at that point.
Yeah.
43-year-old man shows up at your house. He's like, you know what? I'll take Theresa to school. Sure, man. I've only known a week. That doesn't seem suspicious at all. Absolutely. You go ahead and you take Theresa to school. And so, well, guess what? The day before, Theresa had told her friends, Peggy and Janice, that she had met a man who was really into Bigfoot, and they were going to go up into the mountains and camp and try to find Bigfoot. So him being there was known by Theresa, and it was just like, oh, I'm just coming by to say good morning. Oh, well, I'll just take her to school. Like, he kind of was playing that angle. Like, oh, I just happen to be here. I'll take her to school. And Blind Johnny's like, well, damn, I can just stay here in my boxer shorts, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever he said, Blind Johnny was okay with him taking Theresa to school. So anyway, they were really heading out to the mountains for this camping trip. But a little while later, as us parents know, the school calls Blind Johnny. You have to call him Blind Johnny. You can't just say Johnny. The school calls Blind Johnny, says, hey, Theresa didn't show up. And so Blind Johnny's like, yeah, I know. She's sick here and she's at home with me and she's in bed. Because he thought he could track her down and get her home himself. So rather than say what, she was supposed to be at school and alert authorities, he was like, I'm capable enough to track this man down I've known for a whole hot week and find my daughter. Niece/daughter. This is all very weird. Okay, so he lied to the school. Blind Johnny lied to the school that Theresa was homesick.
I'm so shocked.
But guess what? He couldn't track him down. Guess what? I know.
What?
I know.
I thought for sure he was going to figure this out and solve the case.
And you know what? Every fucking person he talked to, this just makes me, every fucking person that he talked to was like, oh man, I wouldn't trust anybody with Skip. Skip's no good. He's sus. Like, he's no good. You trusted a kid with him? Like, they were like, no. Oh gosh, no. He's bad news. Bad news bears. Like they were just, he was like, I've only known him a week. I should have maybe did some research. So anyway, let's find out about, and you know what? All those hours, and we all know, all those hours, those precious hours he wasted. This whole story could have just been, ended right now. This whole thing. Somebody would have come forward. Her friends would have come forward and said, actually, she went to go do this. But nobody was looking for her until later. So anyway, here's what we know about Mr. Skip. So Skip was 43-year-old house painter who was obsessed with Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Interchangeable. Same thing, interchangeable. Skip lived mostly off disability checks. He was addicted to meth.
Great start.
Long time meth user. His wife Shannon had died of a drug overdose. So he was, very well put together, a very stable individual.
Seems like it.
Sounds like the kind of man one would feel comfortable taking your teenage daughter to school, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So Skip claimed to anyone who would listen that he had caught glimpses of Bigfoot, and he often took girls into the mountains under the guise that they would catch sight of the big hairy dude. In fact, Theresa had told her friends, hey, I met this guy, and he says he's seen Bigfoot and had conversations with them and the whole thing. So the summer prior, Skip actually had taken another 16-year-old girl named Michelle on a previous trip, and friends of hers, in fact, his daughter, warned her not to go into the woods with him because he has been known to use drugs to take advantage of girls. This is coming from his daughter. So Michelle, hearing the warning, decided to bring her two biggest guy friends with her on this trip. So not dumb. That was not a dumb day. So the whole day, Skip had been regaling the group about his previous sightings and theories that there was an entire tribe, or is it a herd?
I don't know.
Or is it a tribe of Bigfoot? Big feet?
I have no idea.
I'm going to say Bigfoot. Sasquatches? Sasquatch? I don't know. All right. So a whole herd of Bigfoot in the woods. And he talked about other supernatural and celestial beings like devil gods and these crazy Satan worshipers and celestial beings and all kinds of things. Okay. Yeah. But, so it's a good thing that those other two boys were there, because Michelle thinks that she was indeed drugged, because when she was sleeping, she had this crazy dream that this devil god was coming into her tent or getting on top of her. I don't know if they were in a tent or not. And she felt like they were trying to kill her. So she just got up and started fucking running. She just starts running, and they are chasing after her. She almost died by running off a cliff.
Oh my God.
Her friend stopped her, was able to catch her and stop her before, just because she would have just kept running. Isn't that insane? Those friends probably saved her life. So back to Theresa. So before they headed to the mountains, and this is like in Fresno County, Sierra Nevada part of the mountain. So it's in the Fresno County. Okay. So Skip and Theresa stopped at his daughter, Chandra Welch's place. So she would have been the last person to see Theresa besides Skip alive. So this is mid-morning. It's about a 2-hour drive to where they were going, to Shut-Eye Peak area, which is just scary name in and of itself. But so he was having, the reason they stopped was he was having some trouble with his car. He had a kind of a beat up Monte Carlo, 1976 Monte Carlo. You don't remember those, but you've seen them in pictures. Yes. Okay. So they got it worked out. Skip and Theresa eventually made it to the Sierra Nevada mountain range near the Shut-Eye Peak area. And that's about just over 2-hour drive from Fresno, if you were just going straight shot.
The daughter didn't warn Theresa?
Didn't know her, I guess.
Oh, I was just asking if she warned the other girl.
Yeah. I mean, she warned the other girl before the trip was happening.
Oh, got it.
Right. So fun fact, side note, fun fact, according to the Bigfoot Field Research Organization, BFRO, there have been 19 sightings of Bigfoot, Big Feet, in the Fresno area since 1968. So this was 1987. There would have been 17 sightings at this point. So between 1987 and now, there have only been 2 more sightings. Wow. Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, not a lot has happened since then. So here are some of the sightings in the 2000s.
Okay.
There's just a few. The oldest one was October of 2001. It's a Class A sighting. A hunter has daytime sighting near Huntington Lake.
There's different classes of sightings?
I guess so.
Okay.
July 2005, Class B. Campers hear nighttime. Oh, a camper hears nighttime vocalizations near Florence Lake. Okay.
That could be anything.
It could be anything. July 2006, another Class B. Hikers describe possibly stalking and vocalizations in the John Muir Wilderness. John Muir. Another Class B in October of 2006, possible sighting and howls heard by deer hunters in John Muir Wilderness. And then in August of 2014, Class A, travelers have a nighttime sighting of 2 hairy bipeds on Highway 180 near Grant Grove.
Okay.
So that's the proof of sightings on that website.
Got it.
Yep. So, the idea of Sasquatch was the term used until someone saw the big footprint, then it became Bigfoot, right? Like that didn't start until the 50s, I think, but Sasquatch that's how the indigenous people referred to this being. So the sightings go far back in our history, but this is where we are now. So in this area, you've been caught up on sightings. Okay. So anyway, back to the story. So at 9:30 p.m. on June 1st, 1987, when Theresa still wasn't home, that's when Blind Johnny decides to call the police and be like, yeah, so I lied. And she's missing. And that just angers me so much because it's like, oh my God, it's 9:30 at night, not even like 5 p.m. You just a whole day, just a whole day gone. So the Fresno police spoke to, because he said Skip took her to school. And so the Fresno police spoke to Skip's friends and family, one of them being 17-year-old Michelle Ryan. She was the one that almost died the summer before on that trip. And so she'd been lured into the mountains, right? Almost killed herself running off a cliff. So fun fact, it was Skip's daughter, like I said, Chandra, who advised Michelle against her going. Lucky thing. So it wasn't until, as they're talking to all these people, they're not getting a whole lot. They can't find Skip, first of all. All they can find are his friends and his cohorts, and they aren't saying a whole lot of anything. But on June 5th, 1987, a police officer spotted Skip's brown Monte Carlo by a trailer park near North Fork, which is in the foothills of the mountain. It would later be explained that Skip had come down the mountain to visit his friend Dorothy Davis. And she says that when he showed up, he was quite distraught, like very, very upset. And he told her that he had this young girl that had been taken by this satanic group and was being kept in the Sierra Mountains. Why didn't she call the police? What? Anyway, he's really distraught, and I had this young girl with me. She was taken by this satanic group into the Sierra Mountains. Dorothy Davis said that he was probably high and assumed that he was delusional. So,
I could see why, if he's known to be a myth, like I could see not believing that story.
And she probably wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I could see why she would think he was like just
delusional,
out of his mind. Yeah.
So a few days after Theresa was reported missing, Blind Johnny received a threatening phone call from a young woman. She told him that Skip was packing a pistol and wanted her to tell him, quote, "If you continue to make trouble for him, you will have more trouble from him. Even your kids can get hurt. And tell the police that Skip had taken Theresa to school, dropped her off, and some unknown blonde girl had picked Theresa up."
Wow.
So of course, Blind Johnny's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. So it wasn't until 5 days later that authorities were able to find Skip at his mother's house in Sunnyside, Fresno, and he was arrested for. They were able to get him on a DUI violation that had happened previously, so they were able to get him there. So he comes in, and so okay. During questioning, you have this meth head now, okay? So during questioning, Skip spoke very seriously about Bigfoot and claimed that a large number of them lived in the mountains in underground caves and that he had communicated. So anyway, okay, so right here seems like a good time to talk about the effects of meth use.
Okay.
Because then it kind of puts this man into some perspective. So an active user isn't just hyped up and erratic. There are other long-term effects like anxiety, confusion, and insomnia. There's paranoia, hallucinations, mood disturbances, delusions, violent behavior. Psychotic symptoms can sometimes last for months or even years after a user stops using. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So all of this can keep going. So as Skip is with the police, he's going through withdrawal because they're not going to like give him meth.
Yeah.
Right. So you start withdrawing pretty soon after. I mean, you have to keep using.
Right.
So he's there half a day. Oh boy, here it comes. Oh, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Right. And so what he starts to go through. So as he's withdrawing, he could be experiencing meth psychosis. So meth psychosis includes a little bit of those other things, but hallucinations. You may see, feel, hear things that don't exist. For example, the feeling of bugs crawling on your skin, which is one of the most common hallucinations. Yeah. Delusions, you develop unusual and unrealistic beliefs. For example, meth psychosis could convince you that someone is spying on you or that a satanic cult took this young girl out of the woods. I don't know. Paranoia, you start to feel suspicious of the people around you, including close friends and family members. So to put the man into some context here. Yeah. When questioned about Theresa, his story changed several times, and he insisted on calling her by the nickname that he gave her, which was Sam. Now, I don't know that was really her nickname or if he was like disassociating with her, like if he was like trying to separate him. Like, Sam, what?
Yeah, that doesn't a very weird nickname.
That's for Theresa?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a totally weird nickname. So even on like the missing flyers or whatever, they'll say nickname Sam. And but there's no documentation. And like I said, so little is known about her that there's no documentation anywhere that she actually.
I feel like he just made that up.
I think that he did too. It was speculated that maybe he was trying to distance himself from her, like to make her less real or something. Like, here's this completely different person.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it was like son of Sam. I don't know. Like, it's just Sam.
Yeah.
Right? Just very weird. At first, he claimed that to have dropped her off at school, but soon admitted to the fact that the two did go to the mountains to seek out Bigfoot. Then Skip claimed that Sam had run off into the woods with another young woman, and then later claimed that she had left with some other campers. So this is now the third story.
Okay.
Right? Third story. So first he dropped her off at school. Then it was like, no. We went to the mountains. And then she went, so this is that. And then she went off with some campers. She met another woman. And then, so she met another woman, and then she went off with some campers. And yet another version, she had left. He said that Sam had gotten overexcited after they had seen Bigfoot a couple of times that day. And that made her go running after him to find the creature. And then that's when he lost her. She was never to be seen again. So Skip was saying that Theresa would not be returning because she would be happier with the Bigfoot community in the mountains rather than her own home. I'm not going to say he's wrong there.
Yeah,
I mean, Bigfoot. They don't have clothes.
The Bigfoot community.
At one point during the police interviews, Skip, without the officer asking or anything, no, this is like fucking says, without the officer asking or anything, he said that if they did happen to find Theresa, there would be no sign of sexual abuse. FYI.
Just random.
Just random. Like they were like, so then where were you going? Listen, if you do find her, there's not going to be any.
All right then.
He claimed that although Theresa had been willing to have a sexual relationship with him, he would never have done that with a young girl, as that was not his nature.
Sure.
Right. Is there a child right there?
No.
Okay. They keep coming out. Skip agreed. They keep coming out.
No. There's no animals, no children. There
That's
may be
right.
ghosts.
Okay. Oh, great. Skip agreed to show the police like where they had camped, and so he led them out there. And when they got there, they were there was a small grove of trees along Browns Creek. Now, at the inner part of the grove, there was the campsite. This is about a week after Theresa's gone missing. Okay. The fire is still smoldering.
That's weird.
Right. With pine needles that have dampened, that were seemed damp, like you just thrown water on it, you know, and it was still smoldering. The smoldering area was approximately 3.5 feet wide by 8 feet long, and they were blankets that were put up in a certain formation. Like it seemed very like laid out and planned. There was a camera, there was a purse, an off-white bra, a t-shirt, pictures of the countryside, and a picture of Skip playing the guitar as he was sitting by what appeared to be the blanket that was in the grove area, sort of putting him in that location. There were also pictures of Theresa. So all kind of right there. So based on the photos, though, the police were able to discern that that was not the location of the photos, that this campsite was staged to look like by a meth head, to look like, or his son, to look like what the pictures showed.
The fact that Skip thought the police would believe that was the campsite that had been untouched for a whole week is just...
Fire was still smoldering.
Yeah.
So, but one of the police actually knew where those pictures were actually taken. And it was like 20 miles away.
Oh, that's crazy that he recognized it.
He recognized where the pictures were taken. Anyway, so just based on like the topography, like that's crazy. Like, oh, that looks familiar. And it was at camp 20 miles away in Ghost Canyon. Also not a great name. So Shut-Eye Peak and Ghost Canyon, nothing good ever happened there.
Wow.
So even though he allegedly lied about the campsite, the meadow and the canyon were both searched. And so there was they even had like a helicopter flying over, and they were able to spot from the air a blue shirt. And it actually belonged to Skip, and it had meth in the pocket. So, I mean, it's definitely Skip's. True to form. So there were searches done by bloodhounds and dogs. They actually did detect Theresa at one point, but then that was it. No more scents, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I wonder if they could have dug where that last scent was, or I don't know. Was there
Bigfoot put her on his shoulders? Give her a
there you
piggyback
go.
ride out?
That's it. That's a cat toy. Okay, so no other clues were found. So Skip was charged. He was charged. No, there was no body.
Surprised he was charged.
He was charged with child endangerment and felony child stealing.
Oh, I've never heard of that before.
I had never heard of that either, so I had to look that up. So here's what I found. The crime of child abduction, also known as child stealing, is to take or conceal any child from their legal guardian when you have no right of custody over the child. Child stealing is similar to kidnapping. However, child abduction is considered a crime against the parent of the abducted child.
Oh.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was arraigned and released on his own recognizance by the judge.
Of course.
But he was also, the judge didn't realize that another judge had increased his bail to $30,000 after reviewing the case. So there was the DUI case, and then there was this case, right? So like one judge made a decision for him, and really he shouldn't have been left out of jail, because this other judge was like, no, he needs to pay $30,000 bond, which is about $3,000 at the time. You can, that's what you have to pay, about 10%.
Yeah.
So 2 days later, Skip was rearrested and taken back to jail. But there was still no body, and there's still no evidence of a crime being committed, right? I mean, she was gone. We know that. She wasn't supposed to be with a 43-year-old man in the woods. We know that. But other than child endangerment, there's not much else that they could pin on him, right? So 3 days before Skip was due to go to trial, the authorities had to drop the child stealing charge. They did offer this is where it gets kind of wonky. So they offered, hey, you spend a year on this and then you get out of jail, but you sign a waiver that says we can charge you with murder if we find her body. And his public defender was like, yeah, no, we're going to pass on that. So they had to let him go. I don't know. That was a Hail Mary. So basically, if they had put him in jail and then he got free because there was no body, no crime.
Right.
Then when they did find her, it would be double jeopardy and they wouldn't be able to pin it on him. So they were like, we can't pin anything on you, because if we do find her body, nothing will be done if we lose this case. Yeah. Double jeopardy. Fuck that. So, I just love that the public...
He seemed pretty confident they weren't going to find a body, though. Like, Skip seemed pretty confident.
Oh, yes. They were just like, just tell us where she is. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He
probably doesn't if he was high on his mind. You know what I mean? Like, he probably really doesn't.
Listen, he knew to set up a fake campsite. That took some forethought. That took, help.
I'm just saying, if he was high out of his mind in the moment, if he did something to her, he really may not, if he was in psychosis or whatever, not know where he put her body or what he did to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like
he may really, he know he did something, but he may not know, or maybe he was having an out-of-body experience. Who knows?
He was literally all over the fucking place with his stories, though. It was
but maybe Bigfoot really took her.
Well, he really believed, and I don't go into this because it's all hearsay, kind of, really, but he really believed that Bigfoot, he would say that Bigfoot worshipped women, but what he meant by that was that it would require a sacrifice of one. And so did he do that to Theresa? And had that been what he wanted to do with Michelle the previous year? But she brought along those two guys. There's all this kind of these stories about Skip.
Skip would have to give a sacrifice?
Right. In order to honor the Bigfoot clan, herd, tribe.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so they worshipped women, but did he mean that they would want a blood sacrifice of a woman? It's so weird. There's so many weird, and then there was all these celestial things and these crazy. His rantings were really quite something. So obviously most people believe that Skip killed Theresa.
Yeah. Right.
There's no, no one's going to listen to the story and go, it could be somebody else. Like there was nobody else. There was nobody else with them. And Theresa, and he disposed of her body somewhere. He probably does not remember where, like you said. There was a theory, however, that Skip's family in particular, put forward that the speed freak killers abducted and killed her. And I'll be doing a story on them next.
Oh, okay.
So I'll cover them in another episode, but could it be true? I mean, considering how many times his story changed, I think it would be quite a lucky coincidence for Skip if it were true, because they were in the fucking woods.
But why would they kill her and not him?
I don't know. Maybe they only killed women. I don't know. Don't look it up. Make it a surprise.
I'm looking at pictures of Theresa and Bigfoot right
There's
now.
only one picture of
I know.
Theresa. It's really sad. So despite Chandra admitting her father was a predator at the time of Theresa's disappearance, when she talked to the police originally, right? She did defend him after his arrest, claiming that her dad's only crime was that he cared too much. No, I'm just kidding. That the only
like, wow.
I know. Such a good actor. That his only crime was practicing poor judgment in taking a young girl to the Sierra Mountains. You think? Okay. All right. So blind Johnny died of cancer around 2008, and Skip died in 1998 at the age of 54 due to severe coronary artery disease. So he did not live to be very old at all. I say that as somebody nearing 50, and I'm like, that is young. He's a young man. So at the time of her disappearance, Theresa Ann Bier was 5'5", 110 pounds. She had hazel eyes, brown hair. She was wearing blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and laced sandals. She had a surgical scar on the right lower leg from the crib slats incident. Another identifier could be that her front teeth protruded a bit. So they kind of came out. She didn't have any teeth work done. If you have any information, please call the Fresno Police Department at 559-621-2541 and reference case number 873-6264. Would love to find out what happened to Theresa. It is such a sad state of affairs in that case, and every adult just failed her horribly and miserably.
I kind of wonder if she planned this trip as a way to run away. You know what I mean? Like maybe she wanted to run away from the horrific people in her life. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying it. I could see her be like, oh, this would be a good cover. Like, I can run away from the campsite and just disappear.
But that would just be a death sentence. I mean, you have to make it down the mountain.
Well, I guess.
And if there's Bigfoot,
if a meth head could do it, I would think that.
But the meth head drove there.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, you got to drive up there. You can't walk. I mean, sure, you could walk up there, but she's wearing sandals.
Yeah. I was just saying I could completely
lazy.
Understand why she'd want to run away from her life.
Sure. I think maybe Skip could have just been like, can I just drop you off at the next town? Like, why bother going through the whole ruse?
Yeah.
And then he's all high saying that all these people abducted her. I mean, he could have just said, she ran away. She didn't want to be here. I don't know. I'm still with Bigfoot. Let me call the cops on homeboy over here for doing what he's doing to her. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many other ways. Not that he was thinking clearly. He was addicted to meth. So, he was probably like, you know what? Let's go look for Bigfoot. And then I don't know. That seems like overly planned. And if she was in special ed, how much that we don't know what kind of learning disability she had. It probably wouldn't have been smart for any adult to let her do that. Yeah. We don't really know. We don't know what kind of disability she had.
I'm not going to lie. I would love to meet the Bigfoot community, though. I watched this skit on TikTok, and it's really funny. It's a lady that does these skits about Bigfoot in a trailer park.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. She meets aliens and Bigfoot and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Anyways.
I love it. So that's my story. Short and sweet. Still an hour.
Hey, it's down from 2. Yay.
It's down from 2.
I still gotta go to the grocery store. Yay.
All right. Do you have any hints as to what's up next week?
I think next week's story is going to be about a whole family where they were all serial killers. They killed together. They serial killed people together.
Wow.
As a big happy family.
Wow. We are family.
Yeah. You gotta keep it in the family, you know? Family that kills together stays together.
That's it.
I guess.
That's
I don't
it.
know. I don't know if that's a saying. But anyway.
That's crazy.
I say that. I might find another story I want to do between now and then, but I think that's what I'm doing.
I know. All right. Well, I look forward to it. Faux show. Until next week. Oh wait, is there an update on your?
Nobody's entered the contest,
Dude,
so I'm about to just close it.
Nope.
So.
If you can get your review in on any platform, get it into Ashley. You will be the winner. Because there's nobody else.
Just leave a review, screenshot it to us, and you will be entered to win the prints that are on our Facebook page.
Bam, bam, bam. All right. All right. So until next week, don't follow Bigfoot into the wilderness and don't take meth.
Yeah. Mostly don't do meth. I mean, if I saw Bigfoot, I'm not going to lie, I'd probably follow him.
I don't know. I don't think he wants to be found. Just don't think he wants to be found. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Give him a bath. Give him a razor. Hey, man, you're cute underneath all that hair. All right. Okay. We'll see you next week. Bye.